the movie. But I don't love it for its historical accuracy. It's a romp and nothing more. But let's cover the good things first. First off, the acting is good. That's the first thing I want to get out of the way. The acting is good. The battles are good. I do love the action in it. And just a personal thing, I love that they actually got permission to use Tiger 131 in the movie. That in it itself was amazing. What about you?
That is pretty cool, although, yeah, the Saving Private Ryan did have a pretty decent mock-up. I think it was a T-34. I liked the directing job. I thought it had this wonderful gritty atmosphere, and in fact, it had this great look. I was kind of disappointed when I saw Ayer's subsequent movies because of it, and for one thing, the score should have gotten an Oscar. Stephen Price's score, he got one the previous year for Gravity, and he deserved it more for this one.
Yeah, I can understand that. Another thing, but let's talk about the bad. First off, tying in with the gritty atmosphere, I would like to point out that I find it very, 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 very hard to believe that now again, I don't know the exact details. I mean, they never really list or explain what unit Fury is attached with. They don't list the battalion, they don't give you the regiment, they don't give you any of that. All they say is that they're at the front of the lines driving toward Berlin, okay? Well, if that's the case, it's 1945. The times of low supplies are over. If this was 1944, then I'd believe it. But by 1945, replacements are not difficult to find. So, can someone explain to me why a typist, a clerk, is sent to the front lines to be a bow gunner on a tank? That, I get it. Replacements are sometimes hard to find. But it's 1945, near the end of the war. They're not hard to find now. And you would never send, unless you were like, I don't know, unless you're the Soviets and literally have no experienced troops, like early on in the war. I mean, they had experienced troops by the end. But unless you're like conscripts, you don't send them to the front lines and stick them in a tank. Like, so, and I get it. The kid, he's meant to be the viewer looking at everything. I get that. But, which also, and it works in the atmosphere. We've got a kid basically fresh off the boat who's dumped into a situation he's not familiar with. But also, at flaw with the gritty scene, can we talk about how Brad Pitt thought it was totally okay to not only shoot a prisoner of war, but also force his bow gunner to do it? Like, to the point that he was almost torturing him to get him to shoot the guy? Yes, I know. Meant to teach the kid a lesson about killing and that he has to get used to it. Okay? You don't shoot prisoners of war. It's against the Geneva Convention, and the United States followed it. So, I don't know. I just feel like they tried to make the atmosphere too gritty. And of course, what would a gritty atmosphere be without what you said, where we have to find a German girl and make sure we screw her?
You know, you're probably wrong when you fridge a woman in a war movie.
Yeah, you're probably wrong. Yep.
Antagonist's entire motivation is, I'm really squeamish about killing Germans until they accidentally kill this girl that Brad Pitt made me have sex with. Like, really creepy, coerced stuff, too.
It's like, much. It was very
it's like, her poor mother's just standing there, like, just while Brad Pitt just death glares her the whole time.
Pretty much.
And this could have been a good scene without that scene. I think I probably would have liked the movie a lot more if not for that scene.
Yeah, and the whole reason that they put it in there was literally probably just to, actually, I don't know why that they put it in there. All it does is it basically makes
cheap cliched story telling ploy.
There's that. But the other problem with it is that it also makes American soldiers look like animals, because that they were just they would go around and basically screw whatever woman they came across, which I'm sure that happened in some cases. I'm not going to say that they didn't do it. But now let's talk about another thing that was really, really stupid. As much as I love it, how about the fact that 3 Sherman tanks try to pick a fight with a Tiger by going right at it? Again, for the movie's sake, but for And also, I'd like to point out that a Tiger would not leave his concealed position. He would literally just stay there and keep shooting until he killed all of them, and the movie would end right there.
Yeah.
We can also point out the fact that Fury is probably the luckiest Easy 8 Sherman. Yeah, it's an Easy 8 Sherman. The luckiest Easy 8 Sherman in the whole goddamn world, because an 88 round glances off the armor twice. And somehow, they lose the gyros, they lose the automatic control for the turret, and the stabilizers are knocked out, but that's it. The tank is unharmed, and they manage to take out a Tiger with basically dumb luck. I could go on a rant about, I could say something bad about, the SS troops not being able to take out one disabled tank, but at the same time, I mean, the whole thing about the movie does say that the SS were on their way to an objective. They were not, though I would point out it was kind of really stupid for them to wait till about, 200 of them were dead before they busted out the Panzerfausts. But, whatever. But I'm pretty sure at the end of the movie, again, for dramatic purposes and to show that Machine has come full circle. Though I'm pretty sure an SS recruit would not let an American soldier hiding under a tank go free. He would literally report him and they'd drag the kid out and shoot him. He would not leave him there. The SS doesn't work that way.
SS were pretty messed up people.
Yeah. It's badass, but it is a personal gripe. It's the fact that Brad Pitt's character War Daddy has an STG-44 in the tank. Literally, when I saw that, I'm like, where did you get that? How do you have ammo for that? How does it fit in your tank? Trophies? But I'm pretty sure one of the reasons American soldiers didn't use German weapons, even though a lot of, the STG-44 was better than a lot of their weapons, the reason they didn't use it is because when you start firing that thing, nobody knows who you are. If it's coming from your line, if they don't see you, they just think you're a German.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why they told them, don't pick up German weapons and use them, because they sound different and people won't know who you are.
And pretty hypocritical when they kill that one guy for taking a coat.
Oh yeah, he takes the coat, and they shoot him. Meanwhile, the other guys are looting everything, looting an assault rifle, looting Lugers, looting all kinds of stuff.
I mean, and probably the guy, maybe the guy was just cold. He needed a coat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, and maybe for the same reason, maybe bad idea for the same reason, he might have taken friendly fire.
Yeah.
But
In fact, there's a whole scene about, you've probably seen Band of Brothers. There's this whole thing, they have this...
I have not, actually, unfortunately.
Well, in Band of Brothers, there's this whole thing where one of the paratroopers of the 101st of Easy Company snatches a German overcoat to protect him from the weather, because, God forbid, the weather in Normandy's, switches on a dime. Well, anyway, he's wearing the coat at night, and when he comes to wake up one of his buddies for shift, all his buddy sees is a German overcoat, so he stabs the guy with a bayonet, because he thinks he's a German. So, maybe not a good idea to wear German clothing in your own line. Not smart.
Yeah, and then, it also reminds me of, I only saw a little bit of Generation Kill, and there's a dude named Captain America who liked to use an AK-47, and everybody was angry at him.
Yeah, why?
But I haven't seen much of that show. I saw the first episode.
Sir, why are you shooting that truck, denying the enemy transportation? Sir, it's a pickup truck. I remember that. Generation Kill is still one of my favorite series of all time. It has made me laugh on numerous occasions. Though the joke about why the guys joined the Marines is still the best joke in the whole series. Cromley probably saw the commercial about where the guy the knight fights the dragon and turns into the Marine. Ooh, dragon with a sword. I love that joke because I remember that commercial. That commercial was the most well-known Marine commercial when I was growing up. So as soon as he said that, I'm like, I know that commercial. I probably would have joined up based on that commercial alone too.
I've also noticed that. Oddly enough, I seem to have noticed that military aptitude seems inversely proportional to how much you like the cool uniforms.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
It's boring but practical, so I guess I get the attitude.
Yeah. So, back on the topic of Fury, my overall opinions, I loved the movie. I really did. I liked the movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. It's good to see a tank movie for once. A good tank movie.
Yeah.
And it just... I'm not going to give it, like, praise saying it's the best war movie of all time. No, it's an action romp, and that's it. It's basically the equivalent of an 80s action movie, basically.
Yeah.
Just with better acting.
Yeah, and, yeah, about one thing about the, yeah, the green fire, that was accurate, right? They used green phosphorus for
they
their...
did. They did do that.
And that actually is what inspired Star Wars, didn't it?
Yeah. And there's other stuff too, like the whole, I'm trying to remember some of the other stuff, like the idea of, like I'm trying to remember the, like there was, basically the whole thing was, there were multiple kinds of white phosphorus. You know how when they're fighting the SS, they fired into the barn, and all the Germans come running out, because white phosphorus, you know, burns on contact. The whole thing was that, yeah, different colored smokes mean different things, and they did use green phosphorus, which is, there were all kinds of different smoke signals, but it was green phosphorus, which is the most common. Green and red.
Yeah.
Though red is for marking targets, green's for letting people know, hey, we're here, don't hit us.
Yeah, I mean for the like tracer bullets.
The tracer, same thing. That's magnesium on the bullets, not phosphorus. It's magnesium, and every certain amount of rounds is colored. And yes, it did inspire Star Wars laser blasters because, well, it looks cool.
And they're the bad guys.
Yeah, and they're the bad guys. But
except in episode 1.
Yeah, but if we're gonna talk war movies, or war-esque movies, then the next comparison is, since we mentioned it before, we can talk about Dunkirk. Now here's the thing. And
well, one last word on his. I think I don't think it's based on any real person, like the Fury.
No,
so
it's based on a real story. It's not a true story. It's based on a real story. That's what they say. It's based on a real story. So it's basically, that means that, well, this happened somewhere, just not exactly like this. That's
like names changed.
Yeah, names changed to protect the innocent. Certain events might have changed.
That I can do. That I can, like, you know, I can get behind, historical fiction,
Yeah.
I mean, not like real people, real events, and they're screwing it up.
And that brings up one thing. Actually, we might have to save Dunkirk for another time, but this is something I do want to bring up. When it comes to historical movies, you get the saying that it's either based on a true story, or like it's based on a true story, or the true, like based on a true story or the true story. So here's the thing: if you say based on a true story, basically what that means is that as a director, your movie has to have the basic premise and the outcome, the proper outcome that history said, but everything in between you can mess around with, which is
you can turn a person to a villain.
Yeah, and then if it's the true story of, you can't do that. You can maybe change a few things, but otherwise your story has to be truth. And that's why I was such a fan of Heartbreak Ridge when it came out, because that story is amazing, and that story is 100% true. So, yeah, there was a few things that the movie did, but hey, that's one thing I've accepted. There will never be, there will never be a movie that 100% follows history to the letter. Because, as I'm sure you'll agree, real history is sometimes kind of boring. So you have to embellish things a bit.
Yeah, I tend to have a little... I mean, of course there's a limit to that. It's, I tend to be of the belief that, if you want to, like, tell your own story, make it about, like, space furries at war with each other, or Rogue One. That's what it's for.
Yeah,
my belief is, I can tolerate it, I can forgive it if it's really good, but I generally think you should stick to the reality as much as possible. I think we need more conflict of tigers with their most formidable enemy, which is a muddy ditch.
The muddy ditch, the greatest of all tank enemies. And I know that's not a joke. I totally.
You gotta get the horse.